Yeah, I'm good, brother. I'm good, Diego. How are you?
I'm doing well. A little bit of a
Nice.
snowstorm today in New York, but it's kind of nice and pretty.
New York?
But
We're in New York. You in the city?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay,
Yeah, so
nice.
it's pretty fun, but again, a little hectic. But it's a
You're
beautiful day.
you're from New York?
No, I was born in New Jersey and I grew up in South Florida.
Okay, well, it's almost New Jersey, New York. Florida, South Florida is like South New York, isn't it?
It literally, yeah,
Yeah, I
a
was born
lot of people.
in New York, so it's
Exactly. Oh, cool. Where?
I was born in Newburgh, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
How long you been in California?
I got to California when I was 12 years old, 1982. So
Oh, okay.
it's been my base for most of my life. But when you're born in New York, you're from New York. That you know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's
you
just how
can't
it.
shake it off.
The best of
For
both
sure.
worlds.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I don't want to take too much time away from you. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate you having a couple minutes for me. I've been a fan for a long time now.
Thank
I've always kind of kettlebells for me has always been a secondary concern, where fighting and jiu-jitsu and MMA has always been my primary
you.
objective.
Good art for sure.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
I'm the
same. I know it's same for you.
yeah,
You started kind of in the same realm I did, where we were both martial artists, and then you kind of got into kettlebelling after the fact.
if one informs the next, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I was fighting competitively, I figured kettlebells would probably be one of the best things to use because I didn't want to necessarily get any bigger because I didn't want to move up a weight class, but I did want to get stronger and have better cardio. And I saw the back of Pavel's book, and it said nothing is as close to being in a fight as kettlebelling, and I'm like, well, that makes the most sense for me.
Uh-huh.
How did you find kettlebells?
Very, very similar. The difference was I was like early adapter when no one knew about kettlebells. So we're talking 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
I said, wait, this is because I was doing the Chinese martial arts. Now I'm 51 years old. There was no UFC when I got involved in martial arts. You understand?
Hmm.
It was,
Yeah.
you know, so we were Chinese Kung Fu, and I did, I studied many years there. And, I was lifting. So this was kind of after I stopped my professional career. I was, started Kung Fu when I was a 12-year-old kid. That was my first profession. I was teaching, 10 hours a day, all day, every day type of thing and training
Yeah.
in the lab, right? Early to mid 20s, that's when we got into like the full contact. We're like, oh, there's these tournaments over here in the East Coast in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Do that, national. Then we go to the world championships for Kung Fu, right? It's like Lake
Yeah.
Tide, blood sport, but the actual,
Yeah.
you know. And so, so coming out of that, and then in my early 30s or really late 20s, I realized, okay, I'm not going to be teaching martial arts as my profession for the rest of my life. So now what's next? And so anyway, the kettlebell came on when I was just graduating college. I decided when I was 27 to go to university for kinesiology. So I got my degree 2001. Right in that time, I was getting the catalogs. Now, Pavel was really new on the scene.
Yeah.
And there was a company out in Minnesota called Dragon Door Publications, John Duquesne. And, Pavel was their big star. I saw the kettlebell in this. It was a martial art catalog because prior to Pavel, they had like Tai Chi and Qigong. And it was kind of more, it was called Vitalics. Hardstyle didn't exist. It was
Uh-huh.
That's a brand name that came later. That was a catalog actually first because the Vitalics was split into two, which was Vitalics and then Hardstyle. And the Hardstyle is where the fitness stuff started to go. So Pablo
Right.
was like one of the first big fitness stars. I saw the thing. I didn't have any money. I'm like, oh, those are expensive,
Yeah.
So I waited a little while. And then I was still teaching Kung Fu on the weekends at the park down the road. So, one of my students came and I showed these guys the catalog. A week later, he shows up, to the next class. He's got these two kettlebells, right? So I
Oh,
picked
wow.
right away. I felt it from the ground, like a tree just going through my root all the way up. And I'm like, so then I found the money and I got my own kettlebells, right? And,
Yeah.
statute of limitations is out. So actually, he gave me a pirated copy of what was at that time a DVD, right?
Uh-huh.
That's how, and that's how long I've been doing it. So no, sorry, my bad. It was a VHS. It was
Beautiful.
VHS. It was before DVD. All right.
Amazing.
So yeah, so I taught myself the moves. Then just went from there. So after doing that on my own for a year, I was starting to bring it to my Kung Fu, because I was still doing that. It was still a part of me, but it wasn't my career anymore. And, then I started into the personal training. None of the gyms had kettlebells. I was bringing them with me, like that. So, then now here we are, right? It's been everywhere.
Yeah. It's everywhere. Can I ask, what made you start the IKFF?
What had happened was I was getting a lot of requests, actually. I was getting a lot of requests of people, because prior to that, I was, again, we got to keep things in perspective, because we're talking about, fitness, and we're talking about what was really a niche market. It wasn't a part of, mainstream fitness at that time. We're talking early 2000. It was just talking about functional training. CrossFit did not exist. Okay. Kettlebell just starting. So CrossFit existed, but it was one gym in a garage in Santa Cruz, it wasn't Santa Clara or wherever. So it wasn't what it is, so, so it was really that. And, so anyway, ask me the question again. I kind of got off the
No, that's okay. Just what made you start IKFF?
Yeah, so the IKFF was basically in that interim. Before I started IKFF, I had already been training kettlebells for, 6+ years. Okay, so I got into doing DVDs. I created a couple DVDs of my own. The last producer I started working with, who was actually out in New York, out in Rochester, he started putting up on YouTube. Now we're talking like 2004, 2005. I didn't know anything about any of the, online stuff. Sure. I was on Facebook yet at that point. So he was putting these clips on YouTube, and I was getting, emails and, hey, if you ever do a seminar here and there, I'm in Barcelona. I'd love for you to come to my gym. I'm in London. I got a gym out here. Come to my gym. So it was like that. And I was just hopping on planes and going. And about a year of that. And then I started getting, okay, if you ever do a certification. And then finally I decided, because I had a specific request for a certification. So I just, okay, I'm going to create a certification, so it was yeah, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, or if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
Basically. So I was fulfilling a demand and a need, and that's why I started IKFF. So actually in January 2008, the very first, and I'm in San Diego, and, I'm an American citizen, but the very first IKFF certification course I did was in Hong Kong in January 2008.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So here we are, 2021. We're still going, we're still helping people out and sharing that. As kettlebell it changed the game. It changed the game for everybody, because like you said, you're a martial artist, and I was going to the gym. I was like, okay, I'm getting more muscular, and, I was younger, so curls for the girls or whatever. But the point is that this does not make you a better martial artist. Right?
Exactly.
Superior, like it's not enhancing my skills as a fighter. So it's like, what am I doing, right? But kettlebells didn't exist. And then I got out of it. I became a father when I was 27, 28, my first child. And, then it was like I went from training all day, every day from the age of like 12 to, 28 or, 25, 26 to now I'm not training at all. I'm a full-time student. I got to do something. Okay. Because I can't run up and down that mountain on my lunch break anymore. So, so then it's like, I realized before the kettlebell, I was sitting there on a stationary bike at my house. In between classes. Yeah. And, basically I was like, I got to be able to recreate that high level of fitness back a few years ago when I was only doing that. But now I don't have the time. And even if I did, I'm out of the habit. So then I knew I need to be more efficient. And then shortly after that, the kettlebell came into my field of vision. So that would have been like 2001. And then, so IKFF, it was just a big demand for it. And
it seems a lot of times that's the way things happen that are kind of special and unique. Is not necessarily the person had the idea to start it, but some things aligned and it's like, well, let's take advantage of this.
It's organic. It's legacy, and it's
Yeah.
the story. I'm part of the story, and I get to do that. But it's not about me because I'm just one person, and we are one. So it's my calling, and as long as there's people swinging kettlebells, I feel an obligation to make sure that they're doing it well.
Yeah.
So you don't need to learn from me. There's many people now. When I started, there was only a few. Okay.
Sure.
Now there's many people that can teach you how to swing a kettlebell, can teach you how to press a kettlebell. So if all you get from me is how to do that, well, I don't feel I've really contributed that much to moving humanity forward, because there's principles and things that we can learn through the study of the art in way of discipline and all these things that we can apply to life. So that's really the bigger story about the kettlebell, is it's a tool and a gateway to, mind, body, and spirit. And we got to take care of the body, because you can mind and spirit, like the body, this
without
is where
it, nothing else.
we got to care for the vehicle that is bringing us to the show.
For sure. And can I say that the way you just explained that was one of the first things that attracted me to you, and I found myself keep coming back to what your advice was on certain techniques and your ideas on certain techniques, because as a jiu-jitsu player, I really enjoy when a teacher says, look, this is the way I do it. This is my advice, but I'm not saying everything I say is holy, and I'm not one to say that everyone else is wrong. I really enjoy that in an instructor where it's like, this is the way. Yeah. There's a weird, not even, I don't think humility is necessarily the right word, but just some realities to it where it's just like, some people have this idea and that seems to work for them.
Humility, but it's not humility. It's just being honest. And the true warriors, and you're a jiu-jitsu. I came into the jiu-jitsu 3 years ago, so I come back to the martial arts. In between the kung fu and the jiu-jitsu I created my own art with the kettlebell, which is the IKFF, which is the martial art of kettlebell that I, my way of doing it. And but at the high level, I love jiu-jitsu for that very reason you're speaking about. And I trained with Salo, and was before Shanji and Salo, but Shanji's out in Texas now, so I'm still Salo, and
it's so funny to me.
Incredible, but it's the same thing. Like, you don't have to talk about it. It's Fight Club, and it's like it's subject to change, and I've learned about the jiu-jitsu helped me to really understand flow, because flow is a term that's utilized. And again, I don't criticize anyone, but there's more to flow than just I'm practicing routines and stringing techniques together, and now this links to that, and that's a flow. It's kind of a flow because you're moving fluid, but that's not my way of understanding a flow, because a flow is never the same twice.
Right.
It's in the moment, and it's right here, right now. So the flow that I'm bringing, that's my flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we can all rehearse, but that's a routine. You see the difference? So the jiu-jitsu, it all full circle, where it started with the arts, it came to the kettlebell. But the reason I came into jiu-jitsu is because of the jiu-jitsu people always saw that what I was doing was a martial art. It wasn't just, okay, do 10 of these, and yes, they're right.
It's always felt like whenever I do kettlebelling by myself, it's like I'm just doing jiu-jitsu alone right now. That's literally what it is. It's just fulfilling a technique.
The center line, the breathing, your stance, your posture, all these things, it's just movement. It's movement. And we get to move and add load to our body in a way that is biomechanically correct, whereas we're not having to hold the weight. And see, with a barbell, it sits on your bones. And so now it's like elbow to hip. Well, that's always a good idea, right? It's always a good idea. Or said differently, it's never a good idea to let your elbow away from your butt. I don't want to say never, but generally speaking.
Right. Generally.
Right? And so it's like, I'm still a baby in jiu-jitsu, because it's like you study for the rest of your life.
Sure. Right?
But there's things that I can do from the kettlebell that I understand very well, so, and again, they inform each other, because all arts have their strengths and weaknesses, and in some instances you'll see in jiu-jitsu that certain martial artists are very skillful in the jiu-jitsu, but they may not be well-rounded in terms of being an athlete and being a mover, like, oh, my lower back hurts. Well, they can still armbar you and choke you out.
Exactly.
But you're not what you could be if you kind of just filled in the blanks, and that's where the kettlebell can do a lot for the jiu-jitsu, because really you're going to have time to run, like you're going to have time to go to the gym, like you have a job, like, you know, okay, you're one of these young black belts that, okay, for the next 10 or 15 years, you're going to be a professional jiu-jitsu fighter. And now there's a little bit of money where there's, you know, maybe 10 years, right? But that wasn't the case, you know, but for the most part, that's not the people that are doing jiu-jitsu. That's
exactly,
you know,
tiny percent.
The people with jobs and families, and, you know, so 80% of your time, if that's going to be on the skill, and you have maybe 10 or 20% that you're going to cross train, how are you going to use that time? Well, I'll make an argument that kettlebell is probably the single most efficient use of the time, just based on the fact that you're not contradicting principles where you got to learn one thing here and unlearn it and learn a different thing here. No, it's the same things, and it's just the technique of how you're using it is a little bit different. But if you're a master at jiu-jitsu, you're going to eventually be a master at kettlebell too, and you know, because it's like you develop your own style. With a guy like Shanji, I taught him, I'm his kettlebell sensei, but now at this point, he's gone through the level one. He's prepared, you know, it's like, I just like to watch and see how the art that he creates.
Yeah. Because
you
know,
like, oh,
it's interesting. It's through the filter of him,
For, you know, everybody in a sense, like I'll get you to the level, but it's not indentured servitude. It's like you don't need a kettlebell coach the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You need to set you off on the right course. And it's like, we can't be corrupted by the business model, because it's like, if I'm a chiropractor and I need you to come back twice a week for the rest of your life, I don't actually want you to, I can't.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want you to get better, but I can't let you get better, because if I let you get better, now I'm losing money. So I need you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's never been, because it's, you know, the traditional, and it's like, there's a huge world out there and everybody needs it. Almost everybody, like not everyone. There's more universal things that, like, Wim Hof is more important than the kettlebell people in that sense, because not everybody can do kettlebells, but guess what? Everybody breathes.
Right.
So
yeah.
Look at, and actually kettlebells is really all about the breathing. When you really, because if you're going to get to that higher level, like jiu-jitsu, it's like, if you can breathe, you're still alive. So you're doing okay. You can go from bad to better, you know?
Yeah.
There's good eventually if you know, and it's like the same thing, because it's a fight. It's a fight. And when that weight's overhead or the weight's on your chest, well, okay, one, it's not that difficult. With two, now it's a real fight.
Yeah.
Right? So how are you going to react in that difficult situation? And that's, you know, that's the warrior, and that's the, you know, also the educated man that's trying to be elegant, you know, and be efficient, you know.
Yes.
So kettlebells has opened up the entire world. And I still use it, you know what I mean? Because it's a great way to stay in shape. And I'm like you, I just care about the martial art. Now, I do jiu-jitsu. My son does jiu-jitsu. He just turned 17. So it's awesome. Like we get to train martial arts together. And he gets to start young, like when I started. But when I started, I was doing Kung Fu. Now he gets to learn from some of the greatest fighters ever.
Literally. Yeah.
You know, so it's like you want your children to be better than what you were. And so it's like, what am I going to do with that extra time? For me, kettlebells is the bang for the buck. And then the rest is just, I like the WEC method. WEC method fills the blank, because now it's biomechanic. You're learning the coil core. It's really exciting, Diego, because what's going on in fitness and human performance and strength conditioning, it's completely changing. And now we understand. You know, so the whole brace your core and all that, that's going to go away, because that's a misunderstanding of, we don't brace our core. Like, we are animals. We are animals, and we, you know, and, you know, try bracing your core and
it's a lot.
Right? Like, where are you going to go? You know, so why do they teach you to do that for running? You know, so it's really interesting that the kettlebell has given me the opportunity to sort of be connected to that innovation. And I'm not the inventor. I have a friend, David Weck, the guy that invented the half ball, you know, the bow
Yeah,
suit.
yeah, the
That's
bow suit.
all, and other things. But, you know, some people are inventors, but what I am is I'm an early adapter. You invent it, and if it's good and it serves a purpose, then I'm going to adapt it because, you know, it's just a relentless pursuit of better. And that's the whole thing about kettlebell. It really is not about any magic special sauce. The work is the magic of it, but it's just that the tool has a utility, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Utility, and so therefore it serves a very useful purpose. Yeah. Anyway, I
Yeah.
could talk
No, that's
about
right. Well, the reason I wanted to reach out to you is because I in November I did Dan John's 10,000 swing challenge for a Men's Health article with a buddy of mine, and I was very surprised by how much better it made my swings. Like I've been doing kettlebells for a long time, but I'm like, it's just that constant repetition of it, that many numbers in such a short period of time, just like doing martial arts, is like I noticed my technique, I noticed my relaxation on the downswing, I noticed a lot of things started clicking in. So I wanted to start this year with a new challenge, and I decided that since I want to get certified, and you're the person I respect probably the most in all of kettlebell as a sport, and kettlebells at all, I was like, oh, I'll try to get IKFF certified. And I checked out the test, and when I looked at it, I only had 35s and a 50. And I'm like, okay, let me just try to do it 30 days in a row. But I also then ordered a 44. And I did about 2 weeks with the 35. At first, I had to break it up. My hands couldn't handle the swing, that many snatches in a row, and I got a lot of blisters popping. And then the third week, I got the 44, and I slowly introduced it with a 35. And then this last week, I was able to do the last 4 days in a row with the 44, unbroken, with no real problem. And it was like, oh, if I would have spread that out, it would have obviously taken me much longer, but I don't recommend that for everyone. So what I wanted to ask was, how did you design that first test, the level 1 test, which anyone watching who doesn't know, it's 100 alternating swings, 16 clean and jerks on each arm. It's 60 snatches in total, and you can break that up as much as you need on each arm, and then 30 squats, unbroken, for time, I believe.
Yeah. So let me just, you're correct in so it's back to back, no stopping. Yeah. So it's 100 alternating or hand to hand swings. Chest level is good. 16 clean and press. You can also do clean and jerk if you prefer either one, but you got to lock it out overhead.
Yes.
But it's 2 minutes each arm, and that's an important distinction, because when you do the 16, you don't just stop. When you do the 16, you got to maintain the static, because you got to work for the whole 2 minutes.
Got it.
You know, so because that's an important component of the kettlebell is the static. We got to be able to hold it overhead. We got to be able to, and that's a component of the process of this test. You repeat it on the other arm. It's 16 reps, 2 minutes, and then it's 60 snatches. You can only change hands once. So
yeah.
Down 30-30 or, you know, any combination, but you can't keep switching. And that's an important distinction, because if you can switch hands, oh, really? That's easy.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
And then squat, same thing, 2 minutes. Now, 30 squats in 2 minutes, it's not fast. It's 1 rep every 4 seconds. But if you go fast, you still got to stay for 2 minutes. The static. And the reason I designed it is because fundamentally it encapsulates what I would call the big six. Okay, we're not talking about an African safari with the big six, you know, the elephant. We're talking about the big six of the kettlebell, you know, and you got the swing, the clean, the press, the push press, the snatch, the squat. Someone could argue, oh, well, where's the jerk? Yes, the jerk really is the big five or the big six, but we're talking fitness. Okay, so if you're just doing fitness, push press accomplishes the same goal. It's less technical. You don't really need to learn the jerk unless you're specializing in kettlebell and you're going to do kettlebell sport. So for for IKFF, I'd keep that in level 2, the jerk. Okay, but those big six. So in that test, those 6 movements are there. Okay, so you have the swing, you have the clean and the press and or push press, right? So that's right there 4. Then you have the snatch, you have the squat. So you're getting the foundational, and The assessment, well, you got to show. So it's like you earn your level in life, right? So it's not because I like you, you're a nice guy, so here's your certificate. It's like you
Right.
deserve it, because you're going to be teaching people, and there has to be some agreed upon standard of excellence in this world, right? Because we don't just do what we do for the money or for the any old, you know what I mean? It's not a job. It's my life calling. It's my life work. So it's like, if I'm going to put my name and my reputation, for sure, you're going to be legitimately at a level that you can teach those movements to other people. What's the best way to demonstrate that is that test. Because, you know, if you can't do it, then you could be the greatest coach in the world, but you don't have the technical. That's the starting point. You have to have the physical skills first, and now you can model it. And now you know, the teaching and these things, it comes later, but that's not something you can learn in a 5-hour course or in a weekend course. It comes with experience. But you have that confidence when you have the IKFF level 1. You have that confidence because it's like the OG of kettlebells says that you deserve it, and he's putting his name on it. So, you know, like, I'm not going to let someone whose kettlebell technique sucks, I'm not going to certify them. You know what I mean?
It's your name. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, that's really, and I did it that way because it's not supposed to be easy, but it's supposed to be possible. Yeah. It's not about making it as hard as possible. I could make it harder. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's an respectable level for like a level 1 fitness professional that's going to coach others, whether you're coaching for free, like your buddies, or whether you're charging for it. Either way, if you're going to teach other people, you know, that's really what it's for. So sure. And the other beauty about it is, like jiu-jitsu and other arts, is once you learn those foundations, you can actually figure out all the rest anyway.
Yes, and that's what's always so fun to me about, because again, I whenever I take on something new or I'm learning about something, I always bring the thing I know to the table, and I go, well, how does this apply here? Because if you know the way, you know all ways. It's how can I make this be like the information I already know and be able to adapt those things, so it doesn't seem like this whole new mountain I have to climb. It's just the variables change, but everything is still kind of the same thing.
Yeah, man. You create your own way of doing your own art, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing, really, in that.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed with you know, doing it 30 days in a row. Where the 10,000 swing, I was doing it 5 days out of the week. I loved it. Those 2 days off were like a godsend, and I'm like, all right, 30 days, literally no day off. I remember like getting ready to do my workouts, and I'm still teaching MMA. I do a twice a week kettlebell class in the park for some friends, and it's like, it's a lot of work I'm doing right now, but it's like I made the decision to do it, so I have to do it. And when I'd be done with the test, it's always that feeling of like, okay, that was literally 12 minutes, and I'm not dead, but it is impressively exhausting.
It's evergreen, because you can always, like, let's say, you know, for whatever reasons, you get away from kettlebell for a month, or you know, you're doing other things, and like, man, you know what, my kettlebell fitness is not what it was. I want to get back. Well, let's see where you stand. Do that level 1 test on your first day back and see. For IKFF, that's the baseline. That's not the goal. That's
right.
Goal. That's your level from here on out. You should always be able to do that. You know, I went to like 70 countries before the pandemic, since like starting before IKFF. Really, it was 2006 is when I started doing the international stuff. But you know, in that time teaching all those courses, you know, there's a few times where I got really sick once, like in Indonesia. Like, I thought I was going to die sick, you know.
Oh, wow.
Like, you need to be able to do that even if you're sick. You need to be able to do that even if you're, like, don't feel like doing it. You know,
right.
That's to me what it means. Like, you do CKT level 1, and it's like, I should be able to say, hey, you know what, Diego, show them the test, and you have no advance notice. You should be able to step out and do it, because it's
absolutely
skill. It's you're riding the bike. You know what I mean? And it's like, It's hip escape. It's just
it's there. It'd be harder to not do it than to do it.
Exactly. It's part of you.
Exactly. And that's the thing where it's like, I love the idea of what people would consider a goal being the baseline, because it's like, no. This is just the beginning of it. It
We're not
shouldn't
here
be.
to survive, brother. We're here for excellence. We're here to thrive, and we're here to create, better. So, it's not about skimming by. If a person wants to skim by in life, if they're looking for the piece of paper, don't do kettlebells. Do something else. Okay,
There's a lot of things.
People that want to work with their hands. Kettlebells is for people that are willing to embrace discomfort to grow. You know what I mean? Because there's no easy. You lift it until it's easy, but even when it's easy, you can always do more.
Yeah.
You want every rep to be easy, but you make it harder because you make it harder yourself. Because it's every rep is easy, but I'm gonna make it harder because I'm gonna do more or I'm gonna go faster.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
You know what? I'm gonna go heavier. Either one.
Right. There's so many ways to go to make your life more uncomfortable. It's truly amazing.
To raise the bar and challenge the limits. And kettlebell should be, by like in the purest form, it's like a definition of an Olympic sport if you were to really think about it, because every facet of human experience in that 10-minute set, you're going to go through that. You're going to be on the edge of death around 7 minutes. And then you're gonna find that, you know what I mean, and then you're gonna And so it's a what's the word, that not an emblem, but it's a
benchmark,
facsimile, if you will. It's a facsimile of just the life experience, and so there's a lot there, and hard work, and like athleticism. Honestly, if you measure the elite, the top kettlebell lifters in the world in terms of the sport work capacity. At the elite level, you're talking in 10-minute time, you're talking about almost 27,000 pounds of work.
Yeah.
Name another sport. I don't know, rowing. Like, there's very few.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
Because you're talking 144 pounds of the kettlebell times, at the elite level, like 176 reps overhead in a 10-minute time. So that's over a ton and a half a minute every minute for 10 minutes straight. Now try to do that with a barbell.
Right.
You can't.
It's not going to work. It'd be insane. So
a guy might he can get 2 or 3 reps at the high level, but he's going to have to rest like an hour between each rep.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what like we were talking about earlier, the beauty, to me, the marriage to martial arts, but for me specifically, jiu-jitsu and kettlebells, where it's like when I was training them and telling people about why I do them, because everyone thinks about working out as something for the aesthetics. And it's like, I'm not interested in that currently. That's not my concern. My concern is being able to teach 4 classes in a row, take a break, and then fight 2 classes in a row, and then work. Like, I need to be able to just do a lot. And kettlebells has been the only reason that I can do so much, and it's a really hard thing to get across to some people.
Yeah, the stamina.
Yeah, it's wild. Can I ask? So, because you're doing jiu-jitsu, you said 3 years in at this point. I'm so curious because when I have new students, and I'm a black belt at this point, I've been teaching for a long time. The biggest handicap new students have is being physically strong, because when they're physically strong, they can avoid the technique. They always have this.
Good point.
They always have this plan B button to like, well, I don't like how I'm being held in bottom half. I'm going to just push this person off of me.
Yeah.
But obviously you're very, very strong, but you're also very, very aware and intelligent to that fact.
I mean,
what do you think it's like to roll with you?
Is, I'm going to be doing jiu-jitsu the rest of my life. My son has the opportunity to be really, really good one day.
I watched the competition you posted of him. He's really good.
And that was like, he'd only been training for less than a year.
He had a really good sweep with the feet on the hips.
He's much better than I am, because I'm bringing a lot of things and I had to unlearn certain reactions.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I need a high level teacher, and I'm fortunate that, I don't get to work with Salo every day because he's not around every day, but it's like, when you have a very high level guy, you just take in what you can get, and it's top down.
Yeah.
And so you're training like, and this is a pandemic, so it's like we're not even, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. It's not full classes. Yeah.
Steel sharpens steel, and you just need one person to train with in jiu-jitsu, but it's nice to have people that, you need to have access to people that are really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not every session, but periodically, because it's like, and I just, so for me, I think with what you're saying about the strength and stuff, I'm just starting to get comfortable in this phase where it's like, you know what? I'm going to just turn it off and not use my athleticism at all. And that's
Great.
really long time, because I'm very athletic, even at my age. I feel like conditioning wise and movement wise, whatever the age, it's like I'm very, very comfortable with, and but that only works with white belts and low level. It's not gonna. I want to achieve mastery. I want to be able to roll with the great people, and like, I'm not saying I'm going to win a world championship in the open division. I started late in life. You know what I mean? But it's like, the point is I want to be so that I'll roll with anybody, and I'm confident to roll. And it's not about winning and losing. It's just the skills of the game, and just to have a beautiful experience. And that's what I want. I want that flow. And jiu-jitsu, more than any other martial artist, all martial arts like to talk about it, but jiu-jitsu is the only thing I've found where it's like strength really doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
When you really know what you're doing, like the way that we normally define strength, you have strength in the skin.
Exactly.
And kettlebell, again, it's technique, and so they do have those, because the best kettlebell lifters in the world, most of them are not very super muscular. They're super lean, but you see them with a regular clothes walking down the street, you might not, notice him. So, and that guy can outwork everybody. So, and jiu-jitsu is like that too. It's like there's different kind of bodies. In the sport, there's a lot of, it's a sport, so there's a lot of supplementation and all that. But honestly, that's a separate thing. It has nothing to do with the skill. And like you said, so for me, it's still a challenge in some cases, especially when it's guys in your same, you grow up with, you're in the same level, and it's like the blue belt. I'm a blue belt at this point. The blue belts hunt the purple belts, and and the green belts are, we have green in our school because they're from the Amazon, and it's just, most jiu-jitsu don't, but the Hiberos do, and they can do whatever they want, and it's like white to blue,
right.
Because a white belt, there's blue belts that have been like training for 10 years. So
literally.
I think it's a great idea, but we do have a green belt to where, okay, there's a step, but whatever, the point is like, it gets competitive, and you forget, like, and I'm trying to work on just being relaxed and not resistance. And then so my instinct is, I'm a very excitable guy. I like to, I love the scramble. I love all that, and so, but for me to get to the level I want to go, I know that I have to put that aside and save that for maybe when I need it, like in a competition. And it's a really fucking tough fight. Excuse my language, but
that's all right.
Just that focal point right there.
Yeah. It's useful.
And it's like, but in training, no, that's like I'm slowing myself down by doing that, and realize that, and so, but I'm aware to it, like you said, and it's just a matter of time. And I don't really know the answer, but one thing I know, if you want to get great at something in life, you do it every day. And so that's my objective. I train every day, but in this period I'm not, because my girl's in Mexico and I got to cross an international border on the weekend. Like,
okay.
So I don't train on the weekends because I'm not here on the weekends, but otherwise there's got to be something related to family or customer service for me to not train in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Because what are you doing if you're not, like, you can't do martial arts and expect that you're going to make it. No, I shouldn't say that. To each their own. I'm not saying you have to train every day, but I'm saying it has to be something that you just do.
Yeah. And if you want to get to a certain level, you can't expect it to happen just because you do it occasionally.
Like, you learn so much training kettlebells for 30 minutes every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you make it a daily thing, your body has to adapt, because now there's an efficient path.
Yes. And that's definitely what I've learned in the 30 days, where it's like, certain days my triceps will be more sore, and certain days my hands will be more sore. And it's like, can I adapt the technique just to survive today? But then can I also then come back to what is my standard way of doing it? And I like that, the ability to compartmentalize my brain in that regard, where it's like having my standard movements, but then being able to kind of adjust them for the moment, I think is a super useful thing that, again, I only have because of jiu-jitsu. And I know that's, I'm very lucky for having that. Steve, thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I feel like we could do this again and talk for 2 hours in a row, no problem.
Great to talk to.
Thank you so much for watching. If you don't follow Steve, I'll put all his links. Follow Steve. He's a legend, and I have the utmost respect for you, sir. Hopefully we'll talk again soon. And again, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, brother. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Bye.